Remember when we reported on the state trooper who decided to tell the governor to kiss his ass because he's not going to take a COVID-19 vaccination? Well, he's dead from COVID-19. Here's a reminder of that video.
This is my final sign off after 22 years of serving the citizens of the state of Washington, being asked to leave because I am dirty. Numerous fatalities, injuries. I've worked sick. I've played sick. We've buried lots of friends over these years. I'd like to thank you guys. I'd like to thank the citizens of Yakima County, as well as my fellow officers within the valley. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been very successful, and you've kept me safe and got me home to my family every night. Thank you for that. Wish I could say more, but this is it. So, State 1034, this is the last time you'll hear me in a state patrol car. And Jay Inslee can kiss my ass.
It brings me no joy to report this story because human life is precious, okay? Let's be very clear. This man could be alive right now, his family could be happy. I'm not concerned about his political ideology as it relates to him being a family provider. I disagree with what he said. I disagree with his premise. I disagree with his political philosophy, his social understanding, his conclusion. But I agree that he should be living today. But instead, he decided to not take the shot, the jab as he calls it, and he's dead because of COVID-19. This was in Washington State. The trooper, his name was Robert LeMay. Let me give you some background. The state trooper who left his job over a vaccine mandate that could have saved his life, telling Washington State Governor Jay Inslee to, and I quote, kiss my ass, has died of COVID-19. Robert LeMay, 51 years of age, was fired on October over his refusal to get the jab and filmed a video of himself hitting out at Mr. Inslee. In the video, he says, and I quote, "This is my final sign off. After 22 years of serving the citizens in the state of Washington, I'm being asked to leave because I am dirty. This is the last time you'll hear me in a state patrol car, and Jay Inslee can kiss my ass." On Friday, Washington State Patrol Chief John R. Batiste released a statement saying the former trooper had died. He said, and I quote in this statement, "I am deeply saddened over the news that our former friend and colleague, Trooper Robert LeMay, has passed away. This agency's prayers and remembrances are with his family and loved ones. Rob served honorably for over 2 decades. We were disappointed to see him leave the agency this past October. His service to this state and agency will be long remembered and appreciated." You know, that great words, Chief. But you know what really will be his legacy? I mean, just keep it all the way 100, Chief. His legacy will be that he told the governor to kiss his ass because he refused to take a vaccination that was mandated by policy. And he died from the thing that the vaccine would have protected him from. That is going to be his legacy, okay? A big part of it. It's very sad because it didn't have to happen. Last year, it was reported that COVID had become the single biggest cause of death for police and law enforcement officers across the US, even as associations representing them fought against vaccine mandates. Now, there are people who will say, you know, Doc, you're anti-police. No, I'm pro-police. I'm pro-good police. I'm anti-bad police. It's very simple. In this case, I'm pro-police officers literally getting a vaccination. You know why? Because this is their #1 killer. Contrary to what they believe is their #1 killer, unarmed black people. Unarmed black people are not their #1 enemy. Actually, it's COVID. They're dying because they are catching COVID. No vaccination, you have a higher chance of death. CBS News reported that nearly 24 police professionals died from COVID in just 1 month, October 2021, while a total of 301 of the 458 officers who died in the line of duty were lost to COVID. That's according to an article in the New York Times. That number has actually increased since that article. This made last year the deadliest for police officers in the US history, more than 90 years, and represented a 55% increase in the previous year, the paper said. It is thought that at least 460 law enforcement officers in the US have died of COVID since the pandemic began. Tragic, unnecessary, unfortunate, but real. Anna, what are your thoughts?
You know, you make a really great point in juxtaposing the number of police deaths as a result of COVID versus, some of the preconceived threats that they have, these preconceived notions. The thing that really strikes me about this pandemic, and it's a theme that we see playing out over and over again, is how quickly something like a pandemic was immediately turned into a culture war rather than a public health concern that really requires all hands on deck to ensure that as few people die as humanly possible. I think that that's partly to blame the media for, but mostly to blame our politicians for, many of whom are obviously completely taken over by corporate interests. And so their political identity devolves to nothing more than taking a culture war side on any given issue or turning something as serious as a pandemic into a culture war. It gives the public this illusion of governing when in reality, they're not governing at all. They're just turning something that is tragic, yes, but could be combated efficiently and effectively into a culture war issue that they can pretend like, they're warriors on. And people are dying as a result. We see that people in the media are able to make a significant amount of money. They increase their earnings through monetization if they spread coronavirus lies or conspiracy theories. And so it's just the incentives continue to be in the wrong place. And the individuals who end up suffering the most are those who are impressionable, those who fall for the culture war lies that have been attached to this public health concern.
Very well said, and I make the point often, I echo what you said. There's a difference between a private health issue and a public health crisis. And we have devolved into this arena where we blur the lines. Now, everything is really a personal health issue when in fact it's a public health crisis. The rules are different. The rules of engagement are different. The rules of policy are different. And the rules of law are actually different when you're in the middle of a public health crisis. All right, so we're gonna continue to follow these stories because, hey, I wanna see good cops survive. I actually do. I wanna see them on the job.